Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am incredibly excited to be with you today because we have a truly fascinating snapshot of the world to unpack. We're looking right at July 5th, 2026. The fireworks have faded, the long holiday weekend is officially over, and the entire globe is collectively sobering up, perhaps literally for some of us. What we're seeing in the data today is a massive, immediate shift. We're putting the party hats away and focusing intensely on the hard, necessary work of building our digital and physical future. Right now, millions of people are returning home from community celebrations, unpacking their cars, and heading straight back into reality. It's one of the busiest travel days of the year, but mentally, an even bigger journey is taking place. The nation, and really the whole world, is setting the scene for a massive pivot right back toward long-term economic priorities. We're essentially trading in our barbecues for boardroom strategies. Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to cover our return to the routine, how AI is becoming core infrastructure, what's powering this digital economy, global stability and innovation, and finally, the future of work.
First up, Section 1, Return to the Routine, and Shifting Back to Business.
As financial markets prepare to reopen, the whiplash is real. Just think about it. On one hand, you have the weekend's cultural leisure. We're talking Independence Day festivities, the absolute excitement of the World Cup, people crowding into summer blockbuster movies. But on the exact same morning, the immediate realities hitting us are incredibly heavy. We're dealing with tense financial market expectations, persistent questions around housing affordability, and this ever-present need for supply chain resilience. Investors are already bracing for economic data and earnings reports. The contrast between our weekend play and our weekday strategy has rarely been this sharp.
Moving on to Section 2, AI becomes core infrastructure, our new standard utility.
This is where we're seeing the abstract, often super hyped concept of artificial intelligence settling into a permanent, functional reality. The defining shift of 2026 is the hard pivot from experimentation to execution. For the last couple of years, businesses were just playing around, right? It was all, hey, let's see what this AI thing can do. Well, that grace period is totally over. Today, enterprise technology spending has fiercely shifted over to execution and return on investment. Businesses are demanding measurable productivity gains. They want absolute operational reliability over flashy demos. Execution is rapidly and ruthlessly replacing experimentation. So the crucial point here is that AI is being treated a lot less like magic right now and much more like standard enterprise software. AI agents aren't just beta tests anymore. They're entering live production workflows. Multimodal capabilities, meaning AI that can handle text, image, and sound all at the same time, are just the new standard. And edge computing, which processes data locally right where it's generated instead of pinging a distant cloud, is expanding steadily to support all this. Plus, we're seeing open source ecosystems driving a massive amount of this relentless activity. I want to highlight this exact quote from the source material. Enterprise AI increasingly resembles core business infrastructure. Why does that specific takeaway matter so much? Because when something becomes infrastructure, it means it's an everyday, boring business utility. You don't sit around questioning if your office needs electricity or internet, right? You just budget for it. AI has officially crossed that threshold. It's now a leading destination for massive capital investment. But here's the catch. You absolutely cannot have the digital mind of AI without the heavy physical body to support it. Which brings us to Section 3, Powering the Digital Economy, Mind Meets Body. So, I've got to ask you, what actually powers this AI boom? We talk about the cloud as if it's this invisible, weightless thing floating above us, but the physical infrastructure required is absolutely staggering. We're talking about vast warehouses of servers that literally consume the same amount of power as small cities. It plays out like a massive domino effect. Step 1, this AI boom demands immense computing power, which triggers unprecedented data center construction and record-breaking semiconductor demand. Which then leads to Step 2, all those shiny new facilities require massive amounts of energy, forcing a desperate, nationwide need for grid modernization. And that results in Step 3, surging, long-term electricity demand that is fundamentally reshaping how our utilities have to plan for the next decade.
And frankly, to meet this soaring demand, the energy sector is expanding in every single direction. Utilities are scrambling. We are seeing renewed, serious policy attention on nuclear energy, simply because we need a stable 24/7 baseload power source that won't just drop out when the wind stops blowing. We're also seeing growing battery storage deployment to capture power when it is generated. There's incredibly strong investment in renewable energy, and crucially, a massive acceleration in building transmission infrastructure, the actual physical wires needed to move that power from where it's generated to these huge new data centers. But here's the reality check, where our high-tech digital planning collides violently with the physical world. While we're sitting here designing the AI networks of the future, right now, intense summer heat is actively stressing our existing electrical grids and infrastructure across the US, Europe, and Asia. It is a sobering reminder that our digital ambitions are strictly bound by our physical limitations and our climate realities.
Let's pull back for Section 4, Global Stability and Innovation, the macro view. Let's move to and see how all this builds on the macro stage globally. It's actually quite remarkable. Geographically, despite ongoing long-range military operations between Ukraine and Russia, Middle East diplomacy is surprisingly keeping energy markets relatively stable. In science, we aren't just glued to our screens. NASA is actively planning Artemis and Mars explorations, and fusion energy research is gaining real, tangible momentum. And culturally, humanity is still bonding over shared experiences. The World Cup is drawing massive global attention, all while streaming platforms fiercely compete for our eyeballs. So despite deep geopolitical uncertainties, the world is maintaining steady momentum in international commerce and hitting incredible scientific milestones.
And that leads us perfectly into Section 5, the future of work, focusing on the human element.
Because let's face it, all these massive shifts ultimately land on our desks. As automation heavily reshapes office workflows, employers are pivoting hard towards skills-based hiring. Look at the fastest-growing workforce competencies right now. AI skills are obviously at the top, along with cybersecurity. But notice continuous learning. The ability to just constantly adapt is now a primary job requirement. And interestingly, skilled trades remain incredibly vital. It might seem surprising to see that next to AI, but as we discussed a minute ago, somebody actually has to build those data centers and modernize those physical electrical grids. These are your ultimate competitive advantages today. If you want the perfect daily example of this new era, just look at software developers. They are increasingly relying on AI coding assistants to completely transform their knowledge work. It's totally altering how traditional jobs are performed, accelerating output, and frankly, it's changing the very definition of what a single worker can accomplish in an 8-hour day. But, and this is absolutely crucial to remember, here is a fact pulled straight from the source material. Human oversight remains 100% essential to enterprise AI. No matter how advanced the automation gets, or how seamlessly AI integrates into our software, human judgment, human ethics, and human strategic direction remain the vital anchor. The technology is an amazing engine, but we are still the ones steering the ship. To wrap all this up, I want to reflect on this brilliant quote. The weekend illustrates the balance between tradition, technology, and everyday life. Think about that. We just celebrated a traditional holiday with friends, family, and fireworks, yet we're waking up on Monday morning to build advanced artificial intelligence and plan space exploration vehicles. Humanity is successfully navigating this crazy intersection of stunning high-tech progress and completely normal everyday routines. So I want to leave you with this question to chew on. As the entire world transitions away from mere experimentation and demands hard execution, where do you fit into the infrastructure of the future? What skills are you going to learn? And how will you adapt to this newly focused, execution-driven world? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. It's been a blast. Keep exploring, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.